The void cracked open around him with an almost unbearable pressure. Is this all humanity can muster? The mocking laughter slithered through his mind like a poison. The voices, alien, cruel, intangible, whispered and jeered simultaneously in a cosmic chorus. Invading every corner of his consciousness, Commander Elias Voss gritted his teeth, fingers curling into white-knuckled fists as he stood on the precipice of oblivion. The black maw of the colossal black hole looming behind him. The Graviton Serpent coiled silently in the abyss, a living embodiment of gravitational terror. Its immense form stretching and undulating like a nightmare, woven from the fabric of spacetime itself. Elias' breath came in ragged bursts, though there was no air here, only the void and the crushing weight of inevitability. His eyes scanned the horizon, a seemingly endless sea of darkness that threatened to swallow him whole. The alien voices echoed again, a cruel taunt that bit into his resolve. You are but a flicker. A spark too weak to challenge the eternal abyss. The words weren't spoken aloud, they invaded his mind through telepathic waves, chilling and intimate. Elias swallowed hard, feeling the sting of isolation deepen within his chest. Not just me, he whispered to himself, voice hoarse but defiant. Every last one of us. His gaze hardened. Failure here wouldn't just mean his death, it meant the extinction of humanity. The weight of that truth settled like a leaden shroud, suffocating yet sharpening his focus. He shifted his stance, the heavy exosuit creaking as servos adjusted to maintain balance in the warped gravity field. In this place, physics bent grotesquely, and every movement required a calculated effort. Elias' mind replayed the faces of his fallen comrades, the ones who had fought beside him in the war that had scarred his soul and hardened his purpose. Their sacrifice was etched into his very being, a constant reminder of why he could never back down. Elias Voss, the voice came again, this time dripping with a malicious amusement. You think your fragile mind can grasp the power of the Graviton Serpent. You are insignificant. He clenched his jaw. Maybe, he muttered, but I'm not giving up. His hand instinctively reached for the gravimetric pulse emitter at his side, a device he had helped design. The last hope against the serpent's crushing embrace. A flicker of movement caught his eye. The Graviton Serpent's massive form rippled. Tendrils of warped spacetime extending outward like the fingers of a nightmare reaching to erase existence. Its eyes, if they could be called that, burned with the cold fury of collapsed stars. Elias' heart pounded, each beat a drum of defiance against the cosmic silence. He took a slow, deliberate breath, letting the memories of Earth flood through him, the blue skies, the laughter of children, the warmth of sunlight. This was what he fought for. Not just survival, but a future. Elias Voss, the alien voices sneered once more. Your species is a fleeting spark doomed to be snuffed out. Tell us, how does it feel to stand before your end? A flicker of doubt flashed in Elias' eyes, but he chased it away. I don't know how it feels yet, he answered, voice steady despite the roaring storm inside. But I'm going to find out on my own terms. The pressure of the black hole's gravity intensified. Tendrils of dark energy brushing against his suit like spectral fingers. The Graviton Serpent coiled tighter, its presence a living distortion in the fabric of space. Elias steadied himself, fingers tightening on the pulse emitter, the hum of quantum particles vibrating through his glove. This isn't just about me anymore, he thought. It's about proving that humanity can stand against the impossible. The echoes of laughter faded into a low, sinister murmur. The serpent's massive form lunged forward in slow, terrifying motion, space itself bending around it. Elias' mind raced, calculating trajectories, timing, and the fragile window of opportunity. Remember your training, he told himself, voice a whisper lost in the vast silence. Remember why you survived before. In that moment, A single thought crystallized amid the chaos. This was more than a battle, it was a reckoning. The weight of the universe pressed down, but Elias Voss would not bend. Not yet. He raised the gravimetric pulse emitter, fingers trembling but determined. The countdown in his mind began. "Come on," he muttered. "Show me what you've got." And in the endless darkness, where stars died and time unraveled, a lone human stood steadfast, ready to face the Graviton Serpent and the crushing gravity of extinction itself. Elias Voss's gloved hand hovered over the console, the warning lights flickering like distant stars gone mad. "This isn't normal," he muttered, eyes narrowing as the data streamed in, a cascade of anomalies radiating from the Graviton Serpent's vicinity, tangled dangerously close to the artificial black hole cluster controlled by the alien invaders. His breath hitched despite the pressurized suit. The gravity of the situation was suffocating. "Commander," a voice crackled through his comm, steady but edged with concern. "Our sensors are picking up unprecedented energy spikes near the cluster. The Graviton Serpent's behavior is erratic, almost like it's reacting to something." Elias didn't respond immediately. His mind raced back to the years of skepticism and derision he had faced when first proposing the exploitation of the Graviton Serpent's unique properties. Many had dismissed him as a dreamer, a madman chasing impossible power. The countless nights spent battling not just alien threats, but his own people's doubts weighed heavily on him now. Yet here he was, standing at the precipice of humanity's salvation or extinction. He tapped the intercom, voice firm despite the turmoil inside. "Get me Dr. Mara Klein and Admiral Terk on the line. We need to assess the risk immediately." Seconds later, their holographic images flickered into view in the cramped command module. Mara's sharp eyes betrayed her worry. Terk's stoic facade barely masked the tension gripping the room. "Elias," Mara began, voice tight, "what you're seeing is exactly what we feared. The Graviton Serpent is showing signs of instability. If it reacts violently near those artificial black holes, the energy release could be catastrophic." Terk interjected, "Approaching the cluster could trigger an event we cannot contain. The aliens' lures are sophisticated. It's a trap designed to draw us into the heart of destruction." Elias clenched his jaw. "I know the risks, but if we don't harness the Serpent's power, those black holes become death sentences for every system within reach. We can't wait for the enemy to strike first. I've lost too many friends, comrades who believed in a future we might never see if we sit idle." He paused, voice faltering for a fraction of a second, the ghosts of fallen brothers haunting his resolve. "I promised them I'd see this through, not just for me but for all of us." Mara's eyes softened, understanding the weight behind his words. "Elias, we all bear that burden. But remember, this isn't just about courage, it's about survival. Reckless action will cost us more than we can afford." The room fell into a tense silence, the looming threat pressing in from all sides. Elias' gaze drifted to the viewport, where the swirling black void stretched endlessly. The sinister glint of artificial black holes pulsing like malevolent hearts. The Graviton Serpent writhed nearby, its undulating form casting eerie shadows against the starlit abyss. He recalled the early days of his research, when proposing to channel energy from such a volatile entity was met with scorn. "A fool's errand," they said. "You'll bring ruin upon us all." The memory fueled a bitter fire within him, a relentless drive to prove that human ingenuity and spirit could still defy the impossible. "Elias," Terk pressed, breaking through his reverie, "your team is ready, but the window to act is shrinking. We need a plan that balances aggression with caution." Elias exhaled slowly, mind sharpening. "We approach the cluster at maximum stealth, deploying the gravimetric pulse emitter to interface with the Serpent. If I can synchronize with its energy signature, we might control its reaction long enough to destabilize the black holes. Mara frowned. Synchronization is untested. The serpent's energy fluctuates unpredictably. You risk becoming a conduit for destruction. I'm aware, Elias admitted. But it's a risk I'm willing to take, for humanity's future. He stood abruptly, the exosuit servos whirring softly. Prepare the vessel for immediate departure. Time is not on our side. As the team scrambled to execute his orders, Elias lingered by the viewport, the weight of his past pressing down like the gravity fields outside. He thought of the friends lost, faces blurred but memories sharp, each sacrifice a testament to the cost of war and the price of hope. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The communications panel blinked urgently. "Commander, a message from the Council," Mara said, voice steady despite the tension. "They're warning you, don't engage without full support. The political stakes are high, failure isn't an option." Elias' eyes hardened. "I've never been one to wait for permission when lives hang in the balance." Turning away, he tapped a sequence on the console, initiating the approach. "Then this time, I'll carry the burden alone if I have to." The vessel shuddered as thrusters engaged, propelling them toward the ominous cluster. Outside, the Graviton Serpent's coil seemed to pulse in response. Tendrils of warped space extending like fingers reaching for salvation, or annihilation. "Elias," Mara's voice broke through the calm again, softer this time, "remember, we trust your judgment. But don't lose yourself in the process." He offered a faint, grim smile. "I carry all of us with me." As they closed the distance, the alien black holes loomed larger. Their synthetic event, horizons shimmering with unnatural energy. The serpent's form writhed closer, its gravitational presence intensifying, bending light and space with terrifying grace. Elias' heart thundered, not from fear, but from the crushing weight of responsibility. Every calculation, every strategy boiled down to this singular moment. To wield the power of a living cosmic terror against the instruments of extinction crafted by an otherworldly foe. His fingers tightened on the gravimetric pulse emitter, the device humming with quantum resonance, ready to bridge the chasm between humanity's last hope and the abyss. "Approaching sync range," the navigator intoned. "Warning, gravitational distortions increasing." Elias nodded, voice steady despite the storm within. "Engage emitter. Let's show them the strength of human resolve." As the pulse emitter's frequencies aligned with the serpent's rhythm, a surge of energy coursed through Elias, disorienting, overwhelming, yet strangely empowering. The cosmic serpent's vast consciousness brushed against his own. A colossal intelligence both alien and ancient. Visions flashed, stars collapsing, galaxies spiraling into oblivion. But also flashes of hope. Earth's blue skies, the laughter of children, the embrace of those he loved and lost. The alien black holes trembled, their synthetic event horizons flickering under the assault. The serpent roared in a language of warped space-time, a soundless scream echoing through the void. Elias felt the pulse emitter surge beyond its limits, teetering on the edge of control. "Hold steady," he commanded, sweat beading beneath his helmet. Suddenly, a jarring tremor rippled through the ship. Alarms blared as gravitational waves battered the hull. "Incoming attack," shouted the weapons officer, alien drones emerging from the cluster. Elias' mind snapped back to the immediate threat. "Defensive protocols active. Mara Terk, we hold the line." "I'll maintain synchronization." The battle erupted, a chaotic dance of laser fire, gravitational distortions, and desperate maneuvers. Yet amid the chaos, Elias remained tethered to the serpent's vast power, channeling it with every ounce of strength and will. His thoughts drifted briefly to the brothers he had lost, men who had believed in him when no one else did. Their faces, etched with sacrifice and hope, steeled his resolve. "I'm not just fighting for survival," he whispered fiercely. "I'm fighting for them." As the alien drones swarmed, the black holes began to destabilize, their engineered destruction unraveling under the Serpent's primal force. Elias' voice echoed through the calm, resolute and commanding. "We're turning the tide. Humanity's spirit won't be snuffed out, not today." The Graviton Serpent's coils tightened, its immense power radiating through the void as it shattered the artificial black holes, sending ripples of chaotic energy cascading into the abyss. Elias collapsed into his chair, breath ragged but victorious for now. The battle was far from over, but this moment marked a turning point. He glanced at the flickering holograms of the battlefield, and then at the faces of his crew, exhausted yet unbroken. "Today," he murmured, "we proved that even against the darkest forces, human will and ingenuity can light the way." Yet beneath the triumph lay a simmering unease. This victory was but a prelude to greater trials, and Elias knew the path ahead would demand sacrifices no one could foresee. But for now, in the shadow of the Graviton Serpent and the shattered black holes, humanity had taken its stand, and Elias Voss would be its sword and shield. "Elias, you're insane if you think this is going to work." Mara's voice cut sharply through the calm, thick with disbelief and frustration. "The Graviton Serpent isn't just some weapon you can wield, it's a force beyond comprehension. Others have tried before you. All they left behind were echoes of failure. We've lost entire fleets chasing this madness." Elias' eyes didn't waver from the swirling mass ahead. The Graviton Serpent, a colossal coiling entity shimmering with warped space-time energy. Tendrils of gravitational distortion pulsed outward, bending light and reality itself. The serpentine behemoth was a living nightmare, yet it held the key to their survival. "And I'm not them," Elias replied, voice low but resolute. "I'm not here to repeat history. I'm here to finish what they started." The warnings were etched into every mission brief, every whispered conversation in dark corridors of the fleet's command centers. Alien enemies who had dared to harness the Serpent's power had vanished without a trace, their fates serving as grim admonitions. The Council's memos were clear: do not engage, do not provoke. Failure equals annihilation. Yet Elias had spent years haunted by those failures, driven by a promise to those who had fallen and a hope for those still breathing. "Elias, listen to me." Mara's tone softened, desperation seeping through. "This isn't just danger, it's pure chaos. That creature, if it senses hostility or even hesitation, it could collapse the very fabric of space around us. You risk everything: your crew, your life, humanity's future." A pause, then a softer plea: "Please reconsider." But Elias shook his head, the weight of doubt and hope battling within him. "I've thought it through every night for years, Mara. I know what's at stake, but standing still means death. We either face the Serpent and master it, or we perish waiting for the enemy's next move." Behind him, the command module hummed with quiet urgency. His crew exchanged nervous glances, the tension thick enough to choke the air. Even his closest allies questioned his resolve. The political factions back home branded him reckless, rival commanders dismissed him as a fanatic, but Elias' mind was a storm of determination and calculated risk. "Prepare for approach," he ordered, voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. "We're moving in." As the vessel inched closer, the Graviton Serpent's coils rippled, an undulation that felt less like a movement and more like a pulse of sentient awareness. Elias' gaze locked onto the entity, and suddenly the crushing pull of gravity intensified, warping his vision and senses. His breath hitched inside the sealed helmet. The void outside was silent, but inside his mind, a tempest roared. The gravitational forces twisted reality, tugging at his very consciousness. Images flashed, shattered star systems, dying suns, and the faintest glimmers of hope interwoven. A deep, resonant vibration echoed in his thoughts, the serpent's presence reaching out not just physically, but psychically. "Stay focused, Elias," he muttered under his breath. "Don't let it break you." The struggle was immediate and violent. His body was buffeted by invisible waves, his suit's servos strained to maintain balance against the impossible pull. He staggered in place, fingers trembling as he gripped the gravimetric pulse emitter, the device designed to interface with the serpent's energy signature. The emitter hummed softly, a fragile link between man and cosmic force. Suddenly, a surge of images flooded his mind, visions not his own, a language of gravity and space not spoken but felt. The serpent was not merely a creature, it was a living embodiment of gravitational and spatial energy, a sentient force entwined with the universe's very fabric. It could bend space, shift time, and manipulate gravity itself at will. Elias' heart pounded as realization dawned. "It's not just a beast," he whispered, all mixing with fear. "It's a consciousness, an ancient intelligence." But understanding came with a price. The serpent's psychic presence clawed at his thoughts, stirring buried fears and doubts. The echoes of past failures, the lost commanders, vanished fleets, whispered like ghosts at the edge of his mind. "You don't belong here," they taunted. "You will fail as they did." Elias clenched his jaw, teeth grinding. "No," he growled. "Not this time." He steadied his breath, focusing on the pulse emitter's resonance. The complex frequencies began to align with the serpent's own vibrations. It was a delicate dance. Too much force and the connection would shatter, too little and the serpent would reject him outright. The gravitational distortion around him twisted space, bending light into impossible arcs. His vision blurred, colors bleeding into one another as the serpent's coils coiled closer. Its immense presence enveloping him like a storm. The mental battle intensified, waves of raw emotion, cosmic indifference. An ancient wisdom crashed within his mind. Suddenly, a breakthrough, a thread of understanding pierced the chaos. Elias' thoughts reached out, tentative but deliberate, weaving through the serpent's energetic form. He sent a pulse, an echo of his own mind, a gesture of trust. For a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. Then the serpent responded, not with hostility, but with a ripple of curiosity. The gravitational waves softened, the crushing pressure easing just enough for Elias to stand firm. The creature's tendrils quivered in acknowledgement, a silent acceptance. "Can you hear me?" Elias whispered, voice trembling but alive with hope. "I'm not your enemy." The pulse emitter chimed softly, harmonizing with the serpent's rhythm. The vast energy field around them flickered, as if acknowledging a new bond. But survival demanded more than connection. Elias' mind raced through every protocol, every piece of data. To live, he would have to push beyond human limits, physically, mentally, emotionally. The serpent existed beyond normal space. To communicate, to influence it, Elias had to transcend conventional understanding. His body ached under the strain, muscles trembling as the suit fought to compensate for warped gravity. Sweat beaded beneath his helmet, mixing with the cold bite of fear and exhilaration. "Keep calm," he murmured, voice a lifeline tethered to his own sanity. "Focus." Minutes stretched like eons as he maintained synchronization, the pulse emitter acting as a fragile bridge. Through the cosmic serpent's mental veil, Elias glimpsed flashes of its ancient existence, stars birthed and destroyed, galaxies swirling in endless dance. Yet amid the vastness, a flicker of something profoundly familiar, loneliness. A primordial solitude shared across eons. Maybe, Elias thought, we're not so different. His thoughts reached inward, drawing strength from memories of Earth, the blue skies, the laughter of children. the warmth of sunlight that now seemed galaxies away. This fragile hope anchored him against the cosmic tempest. Suddenly, a jarring tremor coursed through the ship. Alarms blared as gravitational waves battered the hull. The Serpent's coils writhed violently, reacting to an unseen threat. "Incoming!" shouted the weapons officer, voice strained. Alien drones emerging from the cluster. Elias' mind snapped back to reality. "Defensive protocols active. Mara Terk, we hold the line. I'll keep the Serpent engaged." The battle erupted with brutal ferocity. Laser fire streaked through warped space. Gravity pulses rippled unpredictably. And the ship twisted in a desperate dance to evade assault. Yet amid the chaos, Elias remained tethered to the Serpent's vast power, channeling its energy with every ounce of strength and will. The cosmic Serpent's presence was a double-edged sword. Its power could annihilate or protect, depending on Elias' resolve and skill. A sudden surge of energy from the pulse emitter threatened to overload. Elias' vision blurred, pain lancing through his temples. "Hold steady," he gasped, sweat slick on his brow. The alien drones pressed their attack, but the Serpent's gravitational field warped their weapons, deflecting blasts and crushing their formations. Elias' voice echoed through the calm, fierce and unyielding. "We're turning the tide. Humanity's spirit won't be snuffed out, not today." As the Serpent's coils tightened, a cataclysmic wave of gravitational energy shattered the artificial black holes, their synthetic event horizons collapsing into oblivion. The enemy's instruments of destruction were undone, their threat neutralized for now. Elias collapsed into his chair, breath ragged but victorious. Around him, the crew's exhausted faces reflected the same mixture of relief and awe. "Today," he murmured, voice barely audible over fading alarms, "we proved that even against the darkest forces, human will and ingenuity can light the way." Yet beneath the triumph lay a simmering unease. This victory was but the opening gambit in a war that stretched across stars. The Serpent's power was immense, but understanding and control were fragile. Elias knew the path ahead demanded sacrifices, yet unseen. But for this moment, standing on the edge of oblivion, Commander Elias Voss had faced the impossible and lived to tell the tale. Elias Voss's hands trembled as the crimson warning lights bathed the command module in a relentless, pulsing glow. "They know," he whispered, voice tight with urgency and dread. The alien forces, ruthless, precise, and unyielding, had detected their audacious attempt to harness the Graviton Serpent. Across the void, unseen yet palpably close, a squadron of elite alien warriors surged forward, their sleek, predatory ships shimmering with dark energy, cutting through the warped spacetime like blades. "Commander, the enemy fleet is deploying a strike team," Mara Klein's voice crackled through the calm, laced with a mixture of fear and determination. "They're converging fast, no time to prepare a full defense." Elias' jaw clenched. "Hold formation, divert all power to shields and weapons. We can't let them interrupt the synchronization." His eyes flicked to the viewport, where the Graviton Serpent writhed ominously, its colossal coils pulsating with volatile energy. The creature's agitation was palpable, its immense gravitational field rippling unpredictably. In that moment, Elias felt it, a deep, unsettling tremor radiating from the Serpent itself. The creature's behavior had shifted from wary cooperation to restless fury. The partnership they had painstakingly forged teetered on the edge of collapse. "It's unstable," Elias muttered, voice strained. "If we lose control, this whole sector could be obliterated." Mara's reply was immediate and grim. "We're tracking erratic energy surges from the Serpent. It's reacting to the alien assault. Its gravitational field is fluctuating dangerously." Elias swallowed hard, the weight of responsibility crushing down like the very gravity fields they fought against. His mind raced through the possibilities. Could he maintain control over the serpent's colossal might amid this chaos? Or would the creature's fury rip them apart, annihilating everything in their path? Elias. Terk's voice cut through the tension, calm but firm. We have two choices. Push forward, risking the serpent's wrath and potential destruction of the entire system. Or retreat and live to fight another day, but lose the chance to end this war here and now. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken fears. Elias felt the familiar sting of doubt creeping into his resolve. His fingers curled tightly around the gravimetric pulse emitter, the device humming softly. A fragile lifeline to the ancient cosmic force coiled before him. He recalled the faces of those he'd lost, the comrades who had fallen, believing in a future he was now desperately trying to secure. We can't afford to back down, he whispered to himself, voice raw with emotion. Not now, not ever. But inside, a storm raged, between reckless hope and sober caution, between duty and the primal urge to survive. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring as the alien strike team launched a barrage of concentrated gravitational blasts. The crew scrambled to their stations, voices overlapping in frantic coordination. Shields at 60%, shouted the tactical officer. Weapon systems online but overheating. Elias gritted his teeth, eyes locked on the serpent's massive form. The creature's coils writhed violently, tendrils of warped space flickering like lightning in a storm. The gravity waves it emitted slammed against the ship's hull, threatening to tear them apart from within. Synchronize with me, Elias commanded, voice resolute despite the chaos. We need to stabilize the serpent. If it breaks free, this entire region goes dark. His fingers danced over the emitter's controls, adjusting frequencies in a desperate attempt to soothe the volatile energy. A surge of raw, cosmic power flooded through the connection, nearly overwhelming his senses. His vision blurred, mind teetering on the edge of comprehension and madness. Elias, you're pushing too hard, Mara warned urgently. The serpent's energy is spiraling out of control, yet Elias refused to relent. I won't let it destroy everything, he growled. Not on my watch. The Graviton Serpent let out a silent roar, an impossible, reverberating pulse that shook the very fabric of space. Around them, the artificial black holes, menacing orbs of engineered destruction, quivered. Their event horizons flickering under the serpent's immense gravitational assault. Elias' heart hammered as he realized the moment of truth had arrived. The power that surged through him was unlike anything he had ever known, a maelstrom of energy capable of unmaking stars or birthing new galaxies. His breath caught. This is it, he thought, the final gambit. He glanced at Mara and Terk, their faces pale but resolute. I'm going to unleash the serpent's full strength, he announced, voice steely. We either end this now or we die trying. Mara's eyes widened in horror. Elias, you can't. If you lose control, I have to, Elias interrupted, cutting her off with a determined glare. The risk is worth it for humanity's survival. With a swift, practiced motion, he adjusted the pulse emitter, channeling the serpent's gravitational energy into a concentrated, titanic surge. The ship trembled as the cosmic force built to a crescendo, coiling like a storm about to break. Brace yourselves, Elias shouted. Here comes the storm. In an instant, the Graviton Serpent unleashed a colossal wave of gravitational energy, a shimmering cascade of raw power that tore through the void, striking the artificial black holes with the force of collapsing stars. The synthetic event horizons flickered violently, destabilizing and imploding in spectacular bursts of light and shadow. The alien strike team's formation shattered under the onslaught, their ships tossed like leaves in a tempest. Alarms screamed, systems faltered, but amidst the chaos, Elias remained tethered to the serpent's might. guiding the energy with unwavering focus. Sweat dripped down his brow inside the sealed helmet. His muscles screamed, but his mind was a razor's edge of concentration and will. The pulse emitter's hum reached a deafening pitch, threatening to overload. "Hold steady," he commanded himself, voice a lifeline in the storm. "Don't lose control." Suddenly, a violent lurch threw him forward, the connection faltering. The serpent writhed in protest, its immense form twisting wildly, threatening to unleash devastation indiscriminately. Mara's voice cracked through the calm, frantic. "You're losing it, pull back." But Elias shook his head, fierce determination blazing in his eyes. "No," he whispered fiercely, "not now." With a monumental effort, he reasserted control, steering the cosmic force with renewed clarity. The gravitational waves smoothed, harmonizing with the pulse emitter's frequencies. The artificial black holes trembled once more, succumbing to the serpent's relentless assault. The alien vessels were thrown into disarray, retreating under the crushing weight of annihilation. Elias sagged against the control panel, breath ragged. Around him, the crew exhaled in relief, eyes shining with disbelief and hope. "We did it," he murmured, voice hoarse but triumphant. "The black holes are collapsing." Mara approached cautiously, her expression a mixture of awe and concern. "You risked everything," she said softly, "including your own sanity." Elias managed a tired smile. "Sometimes, to save the future, you have to face the abyss and dance with madness." As the ship steadied, the Graviton Serpent's coils slowly unwound, the creature's energy settling into a fragile calm. Elias knew this victory was but a fleeting reprieve in a war that stretched across the stars. Yet in this moment, standing on the razor's edge between destruction and salvation, Commander Elias Voss had made a choice. He had embraced the unimaginable power of the Graviton Serpent, risking all to ignite a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. And though the path ahead remained uncertain, one truth burned bright in his heart. Humanity's fight was far from over. But they had struck back, and would do so again no matter the cost. Elias' breath hitched as the final tremors of the artificial black holes. Collapse rippled through the void. The once menacing orbs flickered violently, before imploding into nothingness, swallowed by the vast emptiness where even light dared not linger. Yet amid the victory, an unbearable weight pressed upon him, a chilling realization that the Graviton Serpent's unleashed power was a double-edged sword, one that could drag both himself and the creature into the very heart of non-existence. He gripped the console with trembling hands, sweat mixing with grime beneath his helmet. The pulse emitter's hum faded, replaced by a deep, pulsating silence that filled the command module like the calm before an unknown storm. "This power," Elias murmured, voice raw, "it isn't just destructive, it threatens to consume everything. If I lose control, if the serpent loses control, we're both doomed to be swallowed by the void." Mara's face appeared on the holographic display, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. "Commander, the energy fluctuations are spiking beyond containment. The serpent's gravitational field is destabilizing rapidly. We have to sever the connection now." Elias shook his head, a grim determination hardening his features. "I can't. If I break the link abruptly, the backlash will be catastrophic. This creature's power is tied to mine now. If it collapses, it'll drag us both into oblivion." Terek's voice cut through the tension, calm but firm. "Then we need a plan. One that doesn't just sever the bond but contains it, something to tether the serpent's energy safely before it spirals out of control." Elias closed his eyes, summoning every ounce of strength left in his battered body and frayed mind. The battle had pushed him beyond limits he hadn't believed possible. His limbs ached, muscles trembling from the relentless gravitational strain, and an unfamiliar numbness crept through his senses. Yet beneath the physical pain, a deeper torment gnawed at him, the fear of losing himself, of becoming nothing more than cosmic dust in the serpent's collapsing wake. "I see it now," Elias breathed, voice barely audible. "The serpent's power isn't just raw force, it's a cosmic balance. To survive, we can't dominate it, we have to harmonize. Control isn't about force, it's about understanding and unity with something far greater than ourselves." Mara nodded slowly, her expression softening. "You've always said that true strength comes from acceptance, not domination. Maybe that's the key." The crew worked feverishly, rerouting power and recalibrating the pulse emitter into a containment matrix designed to cradle the serpent's volatile gravity waves. Elias' hand hovered over the controls, fingers shaking as he prepared to initiate the delicate procedure that might save them all or end everything. "Ready," he whispered. Eyes locked on the swirling tendrils of the Graviton Serpent coiling beyond the viewport. The creature's immense form shimmered, its vast energy field flickering like a living storm on the edge of collapse. "On my mark," Elias said, voice steady despite the storm raging in his soul. "Initiate containment sequence, now." The ship trembled violently as the containment matrix activated. Gravitational pulses weaving a fragile web of stability around the serpent's coils. For a moment, it seemed as though the universe itself held its breath. Then slowly, the serpent's chaotic energy began to calm, the violent fluctuations smoothing into a rhythmic pulse, like the steady heartbeat of a slumbering giant. Elias felt the connection between them shift from a desperate struggle to a fragile harmony, a dance on the edge of cosmic understanding. "We did it," Mara breathed, relief evident in her voice. The serpent stabilizing. Elias exhaled, muscles slackening as exhaustion crashed over him like a tidal wave. Yet beneath the physical fatigue lay a profound transformation, one not just of body, but of spirit. He slumped back into his chair, fingers loosening their grip on the controls. The serpent's coils slowly receded into the darkness beyond the viewport, its presence fading but leaving behind an indelible mark of power and mystery. It was no longer a weapon to be wielded, but an enigma to be respected, a cosmic force beyond human comprehension. As the alien strike fleet retreated, their weapons silenced and their ambitions thwarted, Elias allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. He was alive but deeply scarred. His body bore the wounds of battle, his mind carried the weight of trauma that words could scarcely capture. "Mara," he said softly, voice thick with emotion, "I thought control meant power. But real power is in understanding what lies beyond our grasp and learning to coexist with it." She stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You've changed, Elias, not just as a commander but as a man. You embody the hope of a species that refuses to be extinguished." The ship's communications panel chimed, signaling incoming transmissions. Elias straightened, his gaze sharpening. "What news?" A holographic image flickered to life, the Council's envoy, face etched with cautious optimism. "Commander Voss, the collapse of the artificial black holes marks a turning point. The alien threat's main weapon is neutralized. Humanity has a chance to rebuild, to regroup." Elias allowed a faint smile to touch his lips. "Then we have work to do. This war isn't over, but today, we've won a battle for our future." As the crew prepared to chart a course home, Elias lingered by the viewport, watching the last traces of the Graviton Serpent dissolve into the cosmic expanse. The creature's enigmatic presence lingered in his thoughts, a reminder that the universe was vast, filled with mysteries that defied comprehension. "Wherever you go," he whispered to the fading shadows, "know that you've changed me. And through you, humanity will find the strength to face whatever comes next." Back aboard the rebuilding fleet, Elias was greeted as a hero, his name whispered with reverence among soldiers and civilians alike. Yet beneath the accolades and honors, he bore a quiet burden. The scars etched across his body were visible, but the invisible wounds of the soul cut deeper. In a private moment, Mara approached him. "You're not the same man who left for that mission." He nodded slowly. "No, and I'm not sure I want to be. But I'm ready to teach others what I've learned, that true mastery isn't about domination, it's about harmony with the unknown." Together, they stood overlooking the reborn Earth horizon, the sun casting warm light upon a world wounded but unbroken. Elia's voice carried a steady hope. "Let this be the legacy we leave, the courage to face the impossible, the humility to accept what we cannot control, and the wisdom to find strength in unity." As new generations look to the stars, inspired by tales of the Graviton Serpent and the battle that had tested humanity's limits, a sense of wonder and determination blossomed. Yet in the deepest reaches of space, where light faded into eternal darkness, the Graviton Serpent stirred, a silent sentinel of cosmic power and mystery, its story far from finished. The universe held its breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.